Welcome to the stream. It is Tuesday. I got my nature sounds going because copyrights are challenging. It's Tuesday. My name is Mike Bifulco. I am Director of Technology for thegymnasium.com, aka as thegymnasium.com, a free online code school offering courses on design and development of web technologies. We have courses on coding for designers, user experience, jQuery, information design and visualization fundamentals, Drupal, writing for web and mobile, time management, VR, Node, all kinds of great stuff that you should go and check out. The courses are free. They are self-paced. They are video-based courses. You can enroll at any time. You can take them at any time that works for you at your own pace, and you will love them. Per usual, I am here on Tuesday afternoon to live stream some of my work to show you what it's like to be me, the kind of work I do, some of the trials and tribulations I go through in my process, and really just to help you learn. And hopefully I learned something along the way as well. This week, I will be working on replacing some of the static content on our site, as well as doing some bug fixes once that's complete, and generally trying to tidy up things across the site. So first place to start, first thing to do and to discuss is to show you essentially how, well, I guess this will take some explanation. So on certain parts of the gymnasium, we have some content that we like to change out, or we change out sort of with the CMS system that we've kind of baked ourselves. It's based on actually a pretty simple scheme, and it's because we're a small team and we all have some, at least a little bit of development background. What we do is we use GitHub and a special repo for CMS. The way we're doing it is changing, so what I'm going to be doing on stream today is updating how that works. There are, like I was saying, many places on the site where we use this CMS, one of which, let me see if I can do this without my computer exploding, is the home page, which is currently showing me live coding. So if I load this page, it loads my live coding stream, and this is only up and running when I'm streaming, which is even more confusing the more I look at it. So there's me, and I'm going to load me again, and I'm going to load me again, and I'm going to load me again, and that's going to keep happening. Anyway, before I break everyone's brain, let me pull up the courses page so we're not on the home page. Yeah, so let's ditch this hat, it's bothering me. Let's talk about this. So the way this works is we have a, let me see if I can pull this up without revealing too much. We have a, I believe, public repo. Yes, this should be public, so I think I can show it to you. All of our stuff is public. Most of our stuff is public. Let me just double, triple check this. We have on Gymnasiums, I think this kind of needs to be public anyway. Let me just double check on my other screen. Okay, got it. So, on Gymnasium's GitHub repo, we have this here repository which contains currently some of the static site content that we use. You can go and browse through this. You could even submit a pull request, though we will probably not accept it. This is some of the static content that's used across the page. So, for example, like we were just talking about, we have our home page, and on our home page we have this nice hero, and you can see on the hero, for example, right now, we're using the Twitch embed. And so, this is essentially where that content is pulled from our platform. The platform knows to look at the GitHub page's URL for this address, which serves this up as a static HTML page, which pulls back this content, which we retrieve with an HTTP request, and then inject into the page as HTML content. There are some risks associated with that. Because we're in control of this repo, we sort of trust the code that's here. This is the old process anyway, so this is something that we're going to update. So the goal today is to take all of the various includes, or at least many, most, hopefully all, of the includes that we use across the site for this static site content stuff, and to move them from this repo to the new world that we're using, and I will explain how that works in a second. So let's use this one as a first example. actually, this is not a good example because loading that page really kills my machine when it's showing me streaming me, streaming me, streaming me. So we're going to start with a slightly different page to begin with. I'm going to start with this about page. Maybe. There you go. Andrew, I see your messages. Thanks. Okay, this is the new repo that I can show off. The new repo uses a static site generator called Jekyll, which is a basically a tool stack built on Ruby that generates HTML from Markdown. So this is the new static site content sort of repo. This is where we're, instead of pulling from these flat HTML files, we're going to be pulling from files that are generated from a Jekyll repo. Now this lives in a different place. The spot where this lives now, where we're going to be pulling this content from, is right here, CMS. And so the process to do this, I will explain how this works with the About page. On the About page, we are basically all the content inside of this white box is being loaded from from the process I was talking about. So let me show you how that works. Oh, there's so much stuff open. Boy, okay. So if I go to about.html, you can see on this page, this URL lib2 is imported, which is good. This is, I should step back even further. This is a Django template, which is a templating language built on top of Python, which is the platform that Gymnasium lives on. So Gymnasium is a Python application at its heart. There's a lot more to it than that, but the simplest oversimplification of what's going on is it's a Python application that uses Django. Django has a templating language. The templating language uses these sort of mustachy, handlebarsy looking things to inject content from Python, and we're using Python's URL lib2 to pull the HTML from this URL, which is on the current static site content page, read it synchronously, and then inject that onto this page before it's rendered on the client side. Just as well, a sidebar file is rendered, which actually does a similar thing on this page in particular. So really all I should have to do to change this is change this URL from kind of the old world where we were pulling from gymnasium.github.io. So if I open up this URL, you'll see some of the HTML content from this page about Aquin Gymnasium offers free blah blah blah. It's all here, and of course the CSS rules for the site override what's being displayed in the style-less page here. And all I should need to do is update a bunch of URLs across the site to the new ones, which I have staged in a document on the side here. And that should be here if I put staging dot. There you go. There's the same content from the new site. And the big difference between the new site and the old site is that we are calling out in particular staging versus production pages so that we can test things out on our test server and on my local dev environment before it goes live. We had done some funky workarounds in the past to make that work on the repo that I had showed you first. Yeah, and so this allows us to do this staging version, and then when this is gone, oops, there might be, I guess it's probably production dot. No, yes, no. Ah, okay. So it would be without the staging thing, but this is not quite published yet. We'll run into some bugs here and there. Worth testing all of these things. So the idea is that on my machine, when on edX, when I detect that we're in a staging environment, I'll render this URL, and otherwise when we're in a production environment, we'll render the other URL. You can see in the chat, if you are playing along at home, that this site is not served from GitHub Pages, but instead it is served from a service called Netlify, which is a lot like Azure hosting or Elastic, whatever it's called, from Amazon or Heroku, and a couple of other things. So this is the page on staging. Andrew was saying that this is just building and being deployed, so we'll reload that URL in a minute and it will probably come back. But the point is that If I replace this URL with the staging URL on my dev image and refresh this page, effectively this shouldn't change, except for where it's pulling from, which we can confirm, I believe, from the network tab. Let's double, triple check that. Actually, this is server side, so it might not show on this side. Yeah, actually, I don't think it will. No. Okay, so excuse me. There's always two. On the server side, I might be able to see where this is being pulled from. It depends how transparently the URL lib works. To be honest, I'm not sure I ever actually looked. Yeah, I don't see it in there. It should be relatively easy to determine that we are pulling from the right spot, though. In particular, if the source code for this URL reveals something about it, so it might say something Jekyll-y or not. Temporary HTML for style hooks. Sweet. Actually, I wager that this will be quite unhappy unless I turn this into an iframe. I think it will. Because HTML is not a big fan of putting HTML tags inside of HTML tags. Okay, so it's still building. Yeah, Andrew, we might need to make some changes to this. You can see on the, not the CMS, but on the old version, I'm going to pull up the About page just to compare apples to apples here. About.html does not have an HTML frame around it, specifically because we're just trying to include the HTML bits that we need. The trick, maybe the problem with Jekyll, or the way it's set up currently, is that it will render all of this around the HTML and head, which inevitably on some browsers, platforms, some combination of those things, the page probably won't render because that's out of spec for HTML. Unless I'm missing something. Interesting. Okay. So a couple of things are happening here. For starters, I saw that my div environment seems to think that I'm running a production for at least one of the templates that's loading. I'm going to drop some markers around this just to show that this, whether or not this page is loading correctly. It's actually kind of difficult to tell where this content is being pulled from, surprisingly. Okay, so this is actually pulling from the new site, which is great news. Let's grab these. Okay, so it does look like that's working, right? So I might have misunderstood, misspoke. I'm not entirely sure I understand why this has a class and an HTML and all that. That is certainly being generated from okay. Yeah, I don't really understand. Ginger, maybe you can, I don't know, enlighten me. But I would expect to, if this was rendering the same thing as the GitHub pages, we would have, let's just pull up this one, for example. Maybe it's a browser quirk that it's going and jamming that HTML stuff around it. Let's check. Yes, it is. Okay. Got it. Okay, okay, okay. Got it. Completely makes sense then that this is the doing of Chrome, probably in this case. Yeah, let's try curl. Yeah, cool. And the new URL. Great. Okay. Browser's tricking me again. So lovely. This all should work as we expect. That's great. All right. So let me circle back and explain again what's going on. So we've just changed the include on this about page to point to our new CMS site, which is this here. That's great. What I need to do now is include a switch somewhere that pulls this URL based on the environment that the edX site is operating within. We have a couple of different tricks for that. One of which, well, actually there's a few different things I could do. So we actually have a variable set that kind of dictates which environment we're in, which I can show in here. Sorry, I forgot to zoom in on this. My fault. Hopefully you can see that a little better now. All right. So we have this that we use. Goodness, sorry. This settings variable that we set to tell which environment we're in. What would be truly best would be to write a utility that spits out this URL based on. So what I'm trying to avoid, in other words, is embedding some code like this on every page. So from Django.conf import settings, and what I don't want to have to do is say if settings dot, well, I'll just paste it in. Sorry, what was the error I'm getting? Invalid syntax. Yeah, please. Make sure I did this right. Okay, that should be fine. This should be fine. It's possible. Right. Okay. We're we're running into a problem of my own doing. So it's complaining that that server environment variable doesn't exist because I haven't set it up on my dev stack, which is what we're looking at, and that head extra file is me overriding it because I never set it up locally. Okay, we'll key off something else for now. So we're just going to change one of these settings to work. Okay, I think that what I can do is just drop a environment variable in here. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to call it environment. I'm going to put it here. And this is going to be development. Actually, we'll just say staging. Because for my sake, there's no need to differentiate between dev and staging. So instead of saying this here, we're going to say settings dot environment. Wow, I cannot spell environment. Let this thing get fired up. And now it should be, so now we'll be looking into a different part of that settings, but that's not a big deal. And in the end, to be honest, I'll probably end up, before we deploy this, change that code to look back at the settings, environment setting we're already using. So let's refresh this. Settings has no attribute environment because why? Because why? Might be the fast flag to blame. This will take a few minutes. Actually, I'm not sure this will make a difference. We'll see. I need to propagate the new settings variable throughout my environment here. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it. give this a refresh. Oh, same thing. That's kind of what I imagined would happen. There's a chance I need to use Ansible to push this configuration through, or even more likely is that the environment variable will be referred to from a different, as a different location here. I'm going to add it under features. And we'll try it this way. There we go. Look at that. Okay. That is much better. So, we can see then that if I set this to prod and refresh, then the About page should come back as empty. It, of course, did not, because this is a cached page. Ah, there we go. Nope. That was adorable. Yikes. I believe this is a cached page. If I log in, however, it shouldn't be cached. Yeah, sweet. Okay. So, this switch is working. So, staging. So I think probably the safest thing to do here is to, I mean, here's the thing. This would work too. This should work just fine. Now, what I'm hoping to avoid, excuse me, that's my cell phone going off here. What I'm hoping to avoid is having this structure on each and every one of these static pages. And I guess what we could do is write a utility function, utility file, whatever, Python utility that would do this for us, which essentially it would be a function that we would call by saying whatever, it'd be something like function dot render static render from CMS, and then I would just say about index.html. And that would go in and determine whether to prepend this, or so the staging.gymnasium.cms or the gymnasium or gym.csf. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Broke my brain. Let's see if we can figure that out. to call this CMS include.html, which might work. There's probably a better way to do this, isn't there? We'll start here, as with many things I do. It'll go through some iterations, I'm certain. We're going to need both of these. Main URL lib2. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass into this template a variable. Which, let's pull up the Django docs and we'll look up how to do that. Templates. So this should look familiar. Basically what we want to do is in here we're going to make sure if, and we'll call it template URL. And getting lost here. Okay. Variables look like this. Variable. And template engine encounters a variable, it evaluates that variable and replaces it with the result. Variable names consist of any combination of blah 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 blah. Behind the scenes, here's how it works. In the above example, section.title will be replaced with the title attribute of the section object. Yes, all this is well and good. We're using some of these things. What I want to do is see the other half of this, actually rendering the template. This is what we're using. There we go. That's what we needed. So I'm looking to pass into this a URL called template URL. Oops. Okay. Let's give this a go. So I'm going to duplicate it for now. We're going to say include file equals. Where did I put this file? Templates? Is it just in templates? I believe it is. Yes. Okay. CMS include with, and then the variable is template URL equals about index.html. And I believe that's all we need to do. Apart from drop the variable in here. But one step at a time. Invalid attribute for tag include template URL and file. Okay. Oh, am I using a different kind of include? That's good to know. No. Ah, got it. I was looking at... Yes. Okay. I was looking at docs for a newer Django. Let me pull this back over. Actually, that doesn't look any different. Could do with how I'm doing this. A new thought occurs. This is a... okay, I forgot. When I was explaining this before, I tricked myself. This template file, though it says Django template down here, and though it sort of is a Django template, is actually a Mako template. Mako is a different templating language than... it's similar to Django, but different, and it doesn't use the same syntax. It doesn't use this. It uses... this. args equals template URL equals... it's not as pretty at all. Come on, VS Code. I think that's what I need. I think. Now let's try it. Refresh the page. Invalid attribute for tag include class... oh, did I not change... no, I changed that. Include class and file. But... line 33, character 13. So let me pull this over and show you this. This is the docs for Mako, which should look pretty similar. The templating language is ever so slightly different. Where's the include bit? There you go. This is what we're using to include. Include also accepts arguments which are available as page arguments in the receiving template. So yeah, that should look familiar. Oh, right. And of course, this then would reference that from this guy. Pull that out just for shiggles. I see. I might need to put another helper in here to include the correct file. There's a lot going on. Okay, man, my HTML experience, XML experience, whatever, is biting me here. Okay. Okay, great. Now we're reading the right template. You can see there's an error in this template. That's fine. Cannot locate template for main. Okay. Except I don't think this needs to inherit anything, because we don't need to include an entire gymnasium inside of that page. There we go. Okay, that took me a minute. Okay. So now I want to repass that variable in. Args equals template URL equals, and it's about index.html. Okay, so now this will see that as existing, and it'll render this, and we should have effectively two about pages stacked up on the left hand side here. Yes? No? No. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. I'm going to remove this include, because we don't need that any longer. I'm going to remove that, and are we using settings in here? No, okay. We won't need that any longer. What am I missing? Actually not sure. Really, this should work if I do this and refresh. Now it's back. Problem is, I really want to use that variable because I'm going to need to. So let's see what I'm missing here. It's possible I had the variable name typed incorrectly. Let's just spit it out at the top. No. Undefined. Great. Strange. Great. Lovely. I might need to refer to that as an argz thing. receiving template. To be honest, I'm not really sure what I'm missing, but I would like to fix it. There's really not a lot to this. Okay, it looks like this might be a more appropriate way to do this anyway. So let's try that. Cms include. And we're gonna say, what was I calling this? Where'd it go? There we go. Template URL equals nothing. Okay, so we're defining a function, and lovely, that'll be the end of it. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so rather than do this way, we want to include it with a namespace name equals cms include file equals okay, so now this about has that namespace included, and I believe if I do this, and I say cms include, and I give it an argument of I just deleted it. About index.html. Nope. Yes. Yeah. And I saved that. Expected at line 9, character 23. Oops, wrong file. Cms include line 9. Just a little XML problem. Now I've got a whole new syntax error. Line 11. What was it saying? Expected oh, I see. Let's get super basic on it. Line 7, character 1. Expected. Do I have that wrong? I probably do. Yeah, I had it backwards. Okay. That's cool. Template namespace object is not callable. What could that mean? Oh, I see. I did this wrong. I should say CMS render. We'll do it like that. And we're gonna name space this as CMS. Actually, I'm gonna call it Gym CMS. And this will say Gym CMS here. And this will say render. Aha! Genius, we did it. I'm the smartest man alive. Okay. Now, I need to substitute in here. So let's just render that. Just to show, I'm going to put in H1 so it's nice and big. Great, great, great. Okay. Now we simply want to replace this with plus template URL. that. And hey, it looked like that worked. Okay, so what have we done here? We created a utility Python definition, Mako definition if you prefer. We're going to call this Gym CMS, and we're going to import it from the right spot. Actually, I should probably put that in a folder called util. There we go. Yes. So now, on my About page, I don't even know if I have to call that an HTML. I guess I can make this a .mako. Oops, 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 what did I do? Okay, let's explain what we've done here. So, we made this gymcms.html, which I'm going to try renaming. Yeah, much better. Oh my god, I get syntax highlighting and everything? Yeah, cool. We'll make it all lowercase. Looks nicer that way. Now we have the CMS Render Utility, which is a tag that we can embed on any page as long as we pull it in by its namespace, which allows us to, based on the environment we're in, render a page from our Jekyll-based static CMS page and inject that into any page on the site. So we did this just for the About page so far. You know what? And actually, just to test this, I think that the way Jekyll works is that I can just put About here, and it will assume there's an index.html after that, and it should still render the About page. I could be wrong. We'll find out. Yeah, and voila, it still works. So all I have to do is give a relative path within that Jekyll URL scheme. It gives me a staging one if we're on a staging environment. It gives me a production one if we're on a production environment, which is lovely. It grabs my template URL. If I omit the template URL, it'll just render nothing. So if I don't put anything in here, it shouldn't blow up the page. It should just render nothing. I think that's a little better than nope. Render takes exactly 2 arguments. Oops. What happens if we get a 404 there? Oy, so we do need to be careful. That's not as bulletproof as I would like. I guess we could do a try catch. Let's see if Mako allows for that. Maybe not. Oh, but it's just a Python function. Python try catch. Try accept. Yeah, okay. So this should do all this stuff. And then I can... I don't even know if I need the accept block here. But I think that will work. So So let's put nothing in here again. Keyword, and if doesn't match, try. Try except else. Try except else. Try except else. I must have some misaligned tabs. No. Okay, what's this error actually saying? And if doesn't match keyword try in file. That's fine with me. Okay. What am I missing? And 13 character one. Are those lined up? No. Huh? I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I could waste time messing with that, but I think we're probably better off using our time actually implementing more of this static content stuff. And this is why we have a test procedure to get this stuff released anyway, so that I don't blow up pages by forgetting to include a thing to render. Ay, shite. What did I do? What did I do? It was working a second ago. Okay, so now to the fun part, which is replacing all of the URL lib2 includes on other pages with our new hotness. Oh, hello. Hi. This is Scamps. Hey, Scamps. What's up, man? He's just going to help for a bit. So, hello, cat. What we want to do is get rid of this URL lib2. Actually, I don't know if it's used on this page. It might not be. Hello, hi. Yes, okay, so it's not used on this page, so we don't even need it here. It must have been used in the past, and I just forgot to remove it. On the... Yes, hello. You're helping quite a bit. On the dashboard... It is. We're going to define the namespace up here. I need you to, thank you. Okay. And then instead of this, we're going to have this was including dashboard, which the new URL is just dashboard. Cool. So So let's go to my dashboard page. And that should have loaded this here. Let's see what's actually on that page. Oh, nothing. Great. Looks like it worked. I can, oh, well. Can prove that that would have worked by replacing it with about, which should jam the about page in here somewhere. Yeah, okay. Sometimes we include bits of content at the top of this dashboard page, but not this time. Actually, I'm kind of curious what would happen if I left these quotes out. Does it turn that into a string? I would think it would parse that as a variable, and that variable is not defined. Yeah, okay. So we want this to be dashboard in quotes, and that's taken care of. And now we don't need that anymore. And there's just a handful of these to go through. This is index.html, which has the homepage hero. So we're going to define our namespace again. Go. Guess I can be consistent. And here we will say cms.render, and this is going to be called home hero. And I believe this is the bit in that weird Inception-y way that renders Twitch on the home page. So if I log out and go to the home page, we'll see. Oh, actually, it'll error out, I believe. Yes, because I have not replaced both of them. Featured courses is home featured courses. So this is going to be Gym cms.render home featured courses. Now if I refresh it, right, cool. We've got our staging edition of the homepage hero, which doesn't have Twitch on it currently, as well as these featured courses. That's sweet. That's 2. This is on the login page. I'm just going to try and keep these namespace things near each other. This actually ends up being a nice replacement. It's simpler, harder to screw up, ideally. We want the sidebar is sidebar login. If I go to the login page, I don't have that configured to work on here. Is that right? What's on that page? Oh yeah, no, this login.html is no longer used. In fact, I should get rid of it at some point. Today's not its day though, I don't think. We're just gonna let that be. Let's close some of these open things. Navigation, definitely used. Namespace, name equals gym CMS. File equals till gymcms.mako. Grab this, and we will say, oh, look at that. Haha. This is one place where we actually did that. What was here? System status. It's just called system status now. Look at this. Boom. Gotta spell that right. Now, were there a system status, or if there was any content in there, we would see it, but there's probably nothing in there right now. But we can tell that this works by the page not exploding when I refresh it. 404 not found. Okay, let's make sure I got this right. This is the URL it should be loading. Okay, something incorrect there. Let's test on staging. So, yeah, it's not found. Okay, that's one that needs to be fixed. Let's see what it should be. This is what I need. Static system status. System dash status, not an underscore. I see. Let's try that here. Cool. Okay, we just have a blank system status currently. That's perfectly fine. We're getting rid of these one at a time. It takes a little while to test each one, but that's no big deal. If you're wondering where I'm getting the URLs for these from, I've got another window open that I'm just grabbing the correct slug for, essentially. So this one is switched. I also actually think that this is a page that's not currently used, or rather a URL stub that's not used. We'll see. But it would be on this page. And I think I'm not including that right now. Yeah, I'm not. But it'll be there when we need it. Oh, excuse me. Easy. Actually, I can probably just copy this for all of these. This one's just going to be FAQ. Keep doing that. Cool. goodness, what was there before? We're going to put the FAQ here as well. I don't think we actually render an honor page, or link to an honor page, at least it might exist. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. Let's check some of these pages. Jobs page. Did I break it? Did I save it? I did. Did I break it? Nope. FAQ page. Did I break it? Still there. Careers page. Careers. We're also not linking to. Page not found. Right. I don't have that mapped. Okay. Fine. May as well change them all anyway. News and events. Okay. URL lib2 is not used in this file. Falling like ducks now. Jobs. What's left here? Oops. Let's just make sure that works. Does indeed. 3 left. I don't even know where this is rendered. Upcoming content. I see this is just the sidebar. What was here? Static site content, sidebar content. Sidebar generic, okay. Terms of service. Great. I suspect that was the privacy policy before. Yes. Okay, and the last ones are in the util we created. So that's that. So we have now converted this from the old CMS system to the new CMS system using a cleaner import scheme that can be reused, that can be more easily maintained if changes need to happen. It also has a production and a staging environment. Yeah, it's open source, it's great. Everything's great. I think we're done for the day. So, provided this doesn't blow up when I log in, I'm going to call it quits for the stream. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out. We did some cool stuff today. That was surprisingly productive. A little bit of a struggle for a bit as I suffered through some Mako templating heartache, but nothing we couldn't handle. I will be back same time next week. Until then, if you have any questions for me, you can find me on Twitter at IrreverentMike. My email is mbifulco@aquuent.com, and I'll be back next week. Thanks for hanging out.